The Boston Bruins are in Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. And on today's episode, I am joined by the host of Locked On Golden Knights to talk about all things Vegas and check in on how Jack Eichel's new team is doing. So let's get into it, shall we?
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins an everyday listen. The podcast is free and available on all platforms, as well as on YouTube, so please do subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. If you're on Twitter, you can follow the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins. Same handle on Instagram. And you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets, at Ian C. McLaren. Like I said, the Bruins are in Vegas, taking on the Golden Knights tonight. And I'm going to be joined in a moment by Tony, the host of the Locked On Golden Knights podcast. Great conversation had with him to tee up this game, check in on the Golden Knights. I was a bit surprised that they were kind of on the bubble in terms of the playoffs at the moment. I assumed they were a bit higher in the standings. They have Stanley Cup aspirations. Right now, they're third in the Pacific Division, 1 point up on the Edmonton Oilers in the race for a playoff spot. Anaheim, who the Bruins lost to the other night, only 3 points back, although Vegas does have 2 games in hand on them. So obviously not a team to be taken lightly, but a good opportunity for the Bruins to bounce back after that loss to Anaheim. They have Max Pacioretty and Mark Stone, who we talk about. They're out of the lineup. Robin Lehner, a little banged up in and out of the lineup due to injury. So certainly an opportunity for the Bruins to improve their record on this road trip to 4-1 with 1 game remaining on Saturday night in Columbus before they come home and take on LA on Monday. There could be some changes to the lineup, notably Jack Eichel. I wouldn't mind seeing him come in for Connor Clifton to play on the right side. Forward group, I would expect will stay the same unless Curtis Lazar is healthy. And again, I would expect Jeremy Swayman to get the start in this one. I think that's pretty much it by way of introduction. A great chat here with Tony. So let's get into that. But before we do, a quick word about BetOnline. Football's over, but basketball is in full steam, both pro and college levels, as well as hockey, of course. Hopefully baseball soon. You can get all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where to find the next fire coach at betonline.net, the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. They also have scores, podcasts, news. Head to their website today. Use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. That's betonline.net, where the game starts. And again, thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins an everyday listen. Please do subscribe on your podcast app on YouTube so that you never miss an episode. Also, check out the Locked On Now podcast, which is a nightly recap from our local experts, free and available wherever you get podcasts. And the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast is also free and available on all platforms. Hosts Flip Livingstone and Steele Roden help you become the expert of your fantasy league. With all that said, let's get to my chat with Tony from Locked On Golden Knights. All right, the Bruins and Golden Knights set to face off on Thursday evening in Vegas. Boston's first trip there in quite some time, I guess. I noted yesterday that Charlie Coyle was celebrating his 30th birthday on Wednesday as the Bruins travel to Vegas. So hopefully he's not too partied out in advance of this game. What's going on down there today, Tony?
Well, we welcome teams as we did here in Las Vegas during that first campaign with the Vegas flu. So
Yeah,
we're hoping
right.
that Coyle maybe goes and out and parties a little bit too much. The Golden Knights back on track, Ian. They currently, are a team that I feel still is on the bubble. Numerous injuries. We've had Max Pacioretty. Now he's out. Mark Stone is on the long-term injured reserve list.
Right.
And they're just trying to fill in some pieces and some blanks. And, they slipped for just a little while last night, or a couple of nights ago, I should say, into fourth place because Edmonton surpassed them and leapfrogged over the Golden Knights. And so they're a team that's, not quite there. They have a lot of concerns. They're not getting consistent scoring like they were earlier this season. And, now Robin Leonard returned. He returned in the San Jose game. And the Golden Knights are not beating the high caliber, better teams, in the National Hockey League right now. And so to me, it's a little bit concerning where they're at right now.
One thing I wanted to ask about, I haven't really watched too many Vegas games lately, but Jack Eichel, how is he fitting in? How does he look so far?
I'll tell you what, I say he's about 50%, and he's still the best skater on the ice for the Golden Knights. He's 50 to 60%, and he's just outstanding. It's just the way he carries the puck. And then that acceleration that we've seen. We see some glimpses of like what he could be. And I'm just excited to watch him. And what a great story, right? To get him back off of the neck surgery, and now he's back playing. And Robin Leonard and he, were teammates back in Buffalo, and Leonard was just saying how excited he is to have Eichel, on the team. I just think he's he's too good. He's too good for that top line. Right. And if Evgeny Dodonov is struggling big time, I don't know who they're going to put on the wing for now with Stone and Pacioretty out. Stevenson is not a natural winger per se, and he's just far better than anyone on the team, I think. And they can't catch up to his passes. They don't know where he's going to go with the puck. Everyone needs to be alert, but right now, there's just no chemistry to speak of with that top line, especially.
Right. Is that 50, 60% mostly just kind of shaking off the rust for not playing for a year? Health-wise, I imagine he's
health-wise, Ian, it's incredible where he's at because his very first game back, he was out there mixing it up, going into the dirty areas and still checking players against the boards, and he's been checked. And he survived all of that. He looks like he's fine. He had in the game on Tuesday night, he had a good look and he just missed the net, and he's getting close, every game. I could see something really good happening with him maybe a couple of weeks from now. He'll start to get more into the rhythm and the flow, but he needs some help on that top line for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Bruins fans are kind of familiar with a guy like Riley Smith. Is he a guy that could maybe fit up with Eichel, or is he pretty set on the line that he's on?
I would. My guess is that Jonathan Marchessault might be a better fit. The misfit line, that's the second line of the Golden Knights. They finally started to play well together in the San Jose game earlier this week, and in that game, multi-point games for every player. And Riley Smith had a couple of goals. And Smith now, in the last 9 games, has 5 goals. He's starting to come on. He will be a free agent at the end of the season. So this is a contract year. And we hear his name an awful lot in trade rumors. So I'm not sure if he's going to be around here or not. And with this Golden Knights team, I think everyone's up for grabs. I don't think anyone's safe. And I feel as though they're going to be active during the trade deadlines area.
Right, yeah, I guess with Pacioretty and Stone on IR, Stone's on LTIR.
Yeah,
maybe kind of a Nikita Kucherov 2.0 situation.
I call him Mark Stowe. Mark Stowe because they are stowing him away.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's funny. Yeah, that kind of, I mean, not the plan per se, but is that kind of what it's looking like, that he might not be back for the regular season?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's a back problem. He's got back issues. They were aggravated. He said that he first experienced some back pain in the injury in the playoffs last season,
Right.
and then it was just aggravated as the season went on. They said it was a good thing to shut him down, and I don't think we'll see him until the postseason. If there is a postseason, I think like the fans are just getting way ahead of themselves here in Las Vegas, and to me, they're just not there. And Robin Lehner and net, to me, still a little iffy proposition. You know, he had his 20th win against San Jose, but at times he's just like too up and down, for me. He's not like even tempered. And I don't know if they can win the cup with him and Laurent Brossoit as the goaltenders on this team. I really am not sure. That is, to me, the biggest question mark. They can get everyone back for the postseason, but how will the goaltending be in the postseason for the Golden Knights?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I had looked at the Bruins. They're on this will be game 5 of a 6-game road trip, and I had kind of penciled this game in as probably the more difficult one on the calendar, but it seems as though they might be catching Vegas at a good time with all these issues that are going on there.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter if the Bruins can stop the Golden Knights from hanging on to the puck. Last couple of games, they kind of started to show some signs of them being able to hold the puck in their zone, in the offensive zone. And, I'm just not sure if that was, a good thing or not so good against San Jose, because, with the Sharks, it was like their 6th game in 10 days. And so they were just leg weary, and the Golden Knights have owned them, and they're not that good anymore.
Right.
And so I don't know if that was a good sign or not, but they were able to just play keep away from the Sharks. And in turn, it helped out Robin Lehner, who only faced 17 shots, and I think 2 pretty much high danger shots. He let up a really cheap goal. So, I'm not quite sure if they're that good yet. I'm not
Right.
sure if they're going to be able to possess the puck against the Bruins. What do you think the Bruins will do defensively in this game?
I mean, yeah, the Bruins are they're pretty stingy defensively. They're a top team when it comes to, shot attempt differential, shot differential. A lot of people have been saying they need to upgrade on defense before the trade deadline, but overall their team defense has been pretty good, especially with Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand in the lineup. So I'm kind of expecting that it'll be Jeremy Swayman who will get the start tomorrow night, or sorry, against Vegas. And he's fresh off NHL Rookie of the Month honors, looking to keep that strong play going. So he's really kind of unflappable in net, and if the Bruins are able to keep the puck clear from the front of the net, I think they have a pretty good opportunity here, especially with 2 of Vegas's better forwards in Pacioretty and Stone kind of out of the lineup. I'm sure Jack Eichel, being a kind of a local guy, he'll want to make a good performance out of playing against the Bruins. There was, of course, a lot of talk or hope that the Bruins could somehow swing a deal to bring him in. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I'm sure he'll be wanting to put up a strong performance against them as well. And Riley Smith, for that matter, kind of one of those classic revenge games, playing against his old team. But yeah, pretty strong defensively as of late, not including the game the other night against the Anaheim Ducks, where they had a couple pretty big breakdowns. But overall,
they gave up odd man rushes in that game, which I thought
rushes,
was
they
not
weren't clearing
typical.
the zone well. Allmark's rebound control wasn't great as well, which hurt. So I'm hoping they'll rebound from that and put together a stronger effort for sure.
One of the funniest sequences, I think, Ian, that I saw this entire season in the NHL was that sequence in which there were all those broken sticks. There were like 3 in a sequence with no whistle, and it was just up and down with all this shrapnel, like there were sticks all over the ice. That by far was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in the NHL, especially this season. But that was pretty funny. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about Tomas Nosek, the former Golden Knight, and how he's performing, because I'll tell you what, the one thing that this Golden Knight team is missing this year is a heavy presence, and they don't have that with Ryan Reeves gone. I thought Nosek, was a big body and a hard-checking guy. So how is he playing for the Boston Bruins?
You know what? Out of all the additions they made this past offseason, he's probably found the neatest kind of role on the Bruins team. He's slotted in as their fourth line center. He's kind of had rotating wingers, but as far as his play and his role, he's really excelled in that role for the Boston Bruins. Right now, he's playing with Nick Foligno on the fourth line. Usually Curtis Lazar had been on there, but new addition and Jesper Froden is playing on the fourth line with Lazar injured. And in the game the other night against the Anaheim Ducks, they were probably the best line for the Bruins, and he sets the example. He, like you said, he's a heavy presence, great on the forecheck. I didn't realize he was such a sneaky good playmaker as well. He's really got a knack for making some pretty nice passes, can chip in the odd time with goals on his own. And for me, he's been he's like a perfect fourth line center in my mind, and really fitting in well with the Bruins in that role for sure.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good matchup with the 2 fourth lines. And I saw Foligno had the Gordie Howe hat trick in the game against the Ducks as well.
Yeah, and another former Golden Knight in Eric Haula is got a pretty prominent role with the Bruins as well right now. He's playing second line center for them between Taylor Hall and David Pastrnak. So it's a pretty prime spot for him. And I think he's in that role. He's putting up his best numbers since the inaugural season for Vegas. I don't know if he can sustain that, or if that's really the ideal spot for him. But from what you know of him, do you think he's able to, a big question for the Bruins is that second line center position with David Krejci leaving. I don't know if Hal is more suited for like a bottom six role, or if he can hang on the second line. Maybe it doesn't matter who's playing between Hall and Pastrnak.
That's a good lineup. From what I know of Hal, I think more suited towards the bottom six.
Right.
That would just be my personal opinion. But I mean, when you have that lineup there, that's pretty good. I was thinking, Ian, the first meeting between these two clubs earlier this season weren't the Bruins coming off of a lot of COVID issues, and they came from Canada and they weren't at full strength yet. And even, your coach was down with COVID and just had returned, right?
Right.
Was that the scenario? And the Golden Knights stole a win in Boston.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that would have been back in December, I guess, or early in the year.
It was December-ish.
When was that exactly? Yeah, it was December 14th. So that was right kind of before the NHL went on a total pause for the holiday, and the Bruins were in the midst of their own kind of COVID issues at that time. Bruce Cassidy, like you mentioned, he was out of the lineup. I think Marchand might have been suspended back then as well. His first suspension of the season. It was a bit of a different look for them. They weren't certainly at full strength, and the Golden Knights really took advantage of that as well. I think Pacioretty, going back to him, he had a couple goals in that one as well. So it's kind of looking like the opposite situation now, where the Bruins are coming in there with a team that's a bit more banged up in Vegas. So maybe they can return the favor and take advantage of that on this road game.
Yeah, with Pacioretty, he had 11 games where he scored consecutively. Then he had a span of 11 games where he didn't score.
Right.
And then Eichel entered, the fray. And then with Eichel in there, he started to get back into a groove and a rhythm. And then he was injured in the Arizona game
Right.
a week ago. And now he's back, injured again. And he's been oft injured. And just can't seem, this is a lower body injury with him. And it's him, and Matthias Janmark is also out
Right.
with an upper body injury currently. That was also sustained in that game against Arizona last week. But
Right.
what do you think about? Are you pretty healthy coming in? And then Marchand, what type of a role will he play in this game against the Golden Knights, which I still say are just too soft? They are really a soft team, one of the more finesse teams I think in the league. And the Pacific Division is also maybe too finesse.
Yeah. I mean, the Bruins, they're relatively healthy right now. The only injury I think is Curtis Lazar, like I mentioned before, and he's, fourth line guy. So no major injuries. The interesting thing about Brad Marchand is that since he came back from
his third
suspension, he has been kind of shooting the lights out, and that's kind of a function of having David Pastrnak on the second line. There were times where he would, those guys are both love to shoot, and with them split up, it's kind of allowed Marchand to get the puck on net with more regularity. He had, I think he's got 21 shots over his last 4 games. So he's averaging like 5 shots per game recently. And, he's always a threat in any situation, 5-on-5, power play. He's one of the best penalty killers in the NHL, kind of prolific shorthanded scorer. So if he continues to have that shoot first mentality, then that could be a problem for Vegas for sure.
Yeah, and I think Jack Eichel, when you talk about special teams, I think Eichel really needs to have a more active role. He is on the first power play team currently, but they're not generating a ton of shots. I think they're still a little bit too tentative, or Eichel should just take control of the power play unit. Really, he should design the plays and all.
Right.
I contend that he's the guy that you just need to build that power play unit around, right? Because they're not doing well on the power play. They started off the season 0 for 19, and now in February they just had 2 power play goals, and they just keep going backwards, I think, in that area. But how are the special teams for the Bruins?
Yeah, they're going pretty well as of late. I think they're usually one of the top penalty killing teams.
Weren't they like 2 for 3 against the Kings the other night? I
think so. Yeah, they had a pretty good.
They had a good game against the Kings.
Yeah, I think Holla even scored on the power play there. So with the second unit chipping in, I think their penalty kill isn't as good as it usually is. They're a top 10 team at the moment. Power play, they're top 7 in the NHL. So they're always, and like I said, with Bergeron and Marchand out there, they're kind of a threat to score when they're shorthanded as well. So, they're not blowing anybody away with their special teams at the moment. They're certainly looking for the best fits when it comes to who can run it, and especially on the back end. But overall, if you can put Pastrnak, Bergeron, Marchand, Hall out there on any given power play, you have a pretty good chance of succeeding for sure.
Yeah, I would have to say so. And I wanted to ask you about Jake DeBrusk because now his stock is soaring once again. And I think his agent came out and said, despite, how he's playing currently, he still wants to be traded.
Yes.
Is that correct?
It is. Yeah. His agent said that the other night. And I guess the Bruins have given permission to his agent to talk to other teams about potential contract extension. I think one of the holdups is that his qualifying offer is like $4.4 million, I think, and maybe some suitors aren't wanting to pay that much. So if they can work out an extension at a lesser number, it would make it more palatable to pick him up. He has been playing on the first line with Marchand, Bergeron. I think that was kind of by design to get him going, to boost his trade value. And I would expect that he will be moved before the March 21st trade deadline. But in the meantime, if he keeps producing as he has, it's kind of a win-win for the Bruins. They get that production, but also boost his trade value at the same time.
And Ian, what else do you think is in store for the Bruins come trade deadline time?
That's a really tough question. I think they have some good young pieces that they might be able to package with the DeBrusk if they wanted to do a bigger move. I think they do have their eyes on the Coyotes, Jacob Chikrin for sure. I've kind of been rooting for a Phil Kessel reunion as part of that, maybe.
Well, how much do you think? How much do you think Kessel has? Because he's linked to some trade rumors with VGK too. But how much do you think he has left in the tank?
I think he can in the right
Playing
situation.
A role,
I
obviously.
think he can still. We saw how valuable he was to the Penguins. That was a few years ago now. I think he still has enough to be a contributor for sure. Not a star player necessarily, but helping out. If the Bruins were to trade DeBrusk, they would have a pretty big hole on the top line with Marchand and Bergeron. I think he could fill in there and succeed pretty well up there with those guys for sure. I think the Bruins will be pretty active prior to the trade deadline, and they only have so many more kicks at the cup with Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand playing at this high of a level. So I really think that Sweeney's gonna try to do whatever he can to improve this current roster for sure.
Yeah, and I think that the Golden Knights will be active as well. I really do. And a lot of people are like, well, they're way over the salary cap, currently and what have you, but they just don't care. They don't care. If something makes sense, they're going to go out and they're going to acquire someone first, a player, and then they'll face all those cap complications later on. I think at the top of my list now currently and soaring is Evgeny Dadonov, who is at about he's $5 million a year, and I don't know how they're going to get rid of him in that contract. I really don't. But he's just not fitting in, and he hasn't scored in I think 13 games now. And in him and Eichel, one shot on net in the San Jose game, which was like it was target practice basically, and he only had one shot on goal, and just seems to be lost on that top line. They have to do something, and if they could do a 1-for-1. And, or just get his salary off the books, I think they'll be all the better. And I still say goaltending for the Golden Knights, major concern to me. Not to the fan base, not to the front office, but I just don't feel like those are the two goalies that are going to carry this team to the cup. I don't. And Varlamov, his name has been mentioned regularly around here, from the Islanders. And I'm not Georgiev, too, from the Rangers is another possibility. Although I'm not sure, but Varlamov is the player that replaced Robin Lehner with the Islanders. So that would be very ironic if that were to happen here. But
for sure.
We don't know what the injury is to the Lehner. Finally came back after 3 weeks off. They were talking a lot about it being a torn labrum, and that was from Frank Saravelli. And last night in the post game, or I should say a couple of nights ago, in the post-game comments, Leonard took a good run at Saravelli, calling him Dr. Saravelli. He said, "You need to ask my doctor, what the injury is or how I'm feeling." But
it was
I don't know. He's so often injured, and he's like he's in and out of the lineup, and I don't know what to expect. And in the game against San Jose, again, 17 shots on goal. I think 4 of them came late in the game in garbage time. And he only had to make two big saves, and then he gave up that one garbage goal where Bonino fanned, and then Noah Gregor just followed it up. It's just right out in front of the net. But
it was
it's going to be interesting to see what happens at trade deadline time for the Golden Knights, because they will not stand pat. Just based on the history here, they will not stand pat, and they don't care about the salary cap. They don't even think it exists.
It was Frank Zaravelli as well, I think, who floated the idea of Fleury perhaps returning to Vegas.
You want to talk about something that caused major waves in this, not only with the fan base, but in the community. I mean, he's so loved by this fan base and everyone. And the thing about it is no one knows what to believe with Kelly McCrimmon and with George McPhee. Right. No idea. Like no one trusts him or believes him. And they'll throw a lot of smoke out there. Right. And as soon as they mention Fleury's name, the fan base, as you can imagine, just went ballistic. That was the most popular player on this team, perhaps the most popular all-time or one of the most popular all-time players in the history of this city. You know,
right?
You know, even that's including UNLV and everything else. Wow. But yeah, I mean, he was so popular before they got rid of him, and the way that he departed. I don't think there's any way that Marc-Andre Fleury could come back here after, you know, his agent and him were treated in that manner, finding out on social media that he had been traded.
Yeah, that was brutal. Well, Tony, I think we're in for a pretty entertaining game here tonight. Where can people find your Golden Knights coverage, and where can they find you on Twitter?
Okay, on Twitter, it's right there on our screen. If you're watching via video on our Locked On crossover, it's at Tony Cordasco, and it's Locked On VGK on Twitter as well. And we update things daily, as do you, Ian. Great job with the Bruins, and I look forward to your content, you know, all the time, and I appreciate it because we lose touch with the East Coast teams as you do with the West.
Sure. Same. Well, all right. And people can find me at Ian C. McLaren, at Locked NHL Bruins, and both Bruins, Golden Knights, all 32 teams available on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your favorite team every single day. Thanks for listening, everybody, and enjoy this game tonight.